Speaking today with Mike Hegedus, Vice President of Supply Chain Management with Trinity Rail. Mike, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us. Could you explain, as I understand it, Trinity has made the decision to adopt a so-called sense and reply supply chain. What is that all about?
Yeah, one of the most difficult decisions a supply chain manager has to make is how to deal with uncertainty. And our approach to managing uncertainty is sense and respond. And basically what we do is we don't try to, we haven't put a lot of energy on trying to improve our ability to forecast, but rather to respond to whatever demand signals come our way.
So you're probably thinking that old adage that the forecast is always wrong, and rather than try to make something perfect that will never be perfect, try this other thing instead, right?
That's correct. We've probably taken it to an extreme. We literally don't forecast for the railcar manufacturing business. We don't use a forecast at all.
Wow. I mean, for large equipment such as this, I would have, perhaps speaking of out of ignorance, but I would have thought that would have been something that demand is a little bit easier to predict. That railroads are a little bit more stable in what they're doing and what their needs for equipment might be. I guess I'm wrong, right?
Yeah, I guess, and the issue is a lot of the cars are very customized. There's probably many more car types. I know people watch the rail cars go by as they're waiting and probably cursing for the train to pass. But if you pay attention, there's many car types there, and among those different car types, they're customized in many ways for customers. So we can't really, even if we can forecast a particular car type, we can't really predict what the customer is specifically going to need. So it's really, really difficult for us to get an accurate picture for us to actually build cars to any sort of forecast.
Did you have a different philosophy before? Is this a kind of a newfound way of looking at things, or has this always been the way that you've done business?
It's been the way we've done business. I would say that we kind of fell into it, and what we've really focused on is embracing it and getting really good at it.
So what benefits do you think come out of this? I mean, exactly how different is it, and how better an operation do you have by taking that approach to sense and respond?
I think we are the market leaders, and we've been going through a good business cycle right now, and we've increased our market share in this business cycle. Our ability to really respond to demands and be very creative about how to. We've gotten really good at getting very creative at satisfying those customer demands, and the tool from rapid response from Kinaxis has been a key part of our ability to do that.
Well, I was going to say, the question that begs to be asked here is, how do you do it? What is the technology, and how is that technology applied to your operation and enable this sense and response supply chain?
Yeah, there's a couple of pieces. You're having a very flexible supply chain in general, and there's some key components to that. But a key enabler is clearly our planning technology, our ability to, we get our executives from sales, operations, finance, and supply chain together on a weekly basis, and we review the demand situation and make decisions, very important decisions about how to handle these orders weekly. And that decision-making process has been sped up by and improved by rapid response.
Sounds to me like you're already ahead of the game if you can bring all those people to the table together. I mean, so many companies have had problems with siloed organizations that make it very difficult to get everyone in. But it sounds like you've been doing that for a while without any problem.
Yeah, I would say the difference is, I agree, organizationally we're fortunate in that our executives have worked together in this area for a while. We're used to it. We've gotten better at it. And before, while we worked together, the planning was siloed. In other words, operations would look at it purely from a capacity perspective. I would look at it from a materials and logistics perspective. The sales guys looked at it from a revenue perspective, and so did finance. And all the, like many people, all these analyses were done in spreadsheets, and they were standalone. The difference is today we have an integrated cross-functional view plan.
when you say sense and response, what is it exactly that you're sensing? What kind of data is out there? Are there any challenges in getting access to it and making sure it's accurate, making sure you're bringing all the data from different sources so that it becomes usable in a usable form?
Yeah, we're actually honestly better at the response part than the sensing, but the key to our sense is really staying very tightly aligned with the sales organization on emerging orders, potential orders, and getting operations very much engaged and understanding what capacity we have available. That we really monitor key decision horizon timelines around when we're starting to go into lead time and capacity is about to perish on us, when we might have to make a decision about changing a product line from one car type to another. The demand part is part of the sensing, but also our supply chain. Where are they, and reviewing all those things very tightly.
It seems like the rail equipment market would be an ideal candidate for the Internet of Things type technologies. If that's the case, it also means that you're being inundated or soon to be inundated with more data than ever before that's very relevant to your demand conclusions. Is that in fact the case, and has it beefed up the amount of data that you have to deal with on a daily basis?
It is emerging. There are these devices on cars that are capturing all sorts of data. The data is we have the data. I would say people are just now starting to analyze it and be able to use it and consume it and make conclusions. It's mainly, right now I would say, it's the decisions are going into how to specify a car and they're getting more precise than ever about like certain lanes of service. Like if you're running in the Northeast versus the West, you might have different wear patterns and stuff, and you might specify the car a little different. They're getting much more nuanced on it, but I'd say we're just in the infancy. One of the challenges we've had is the cars haven't had power, so they really run on batteries, but they still are there. And I think you're starting to see some technologies where there's going to be power on cars. I think that'll even accelerate that Internet of Things kind of thing, but it is happening today.
Are you talking about there are some refrigerated equipment that I would imagine would have some sophisticated systems where this would apply?
There's actually some revolutionary technologies happening, kind of being driven by regulatory things. They're going to drive positive train control, electronically controlled pneumatic brakes. They're going to drive having power on the car. Those are the main drivers that are regulatory driven, that are going to require cars to have power on them in the next 5 years.
Do you have a formal S&OP, sales and operations planning process in place?
By the textbook definition, I would say no, but I think by the spirit of it, yes. That weekly process, we get together, we review demand, we review the supply, we review the financial, we do that cross-functional planning. Technically, we don't operate any sort of forecast. So some people might argue we don't, but I would argue that we do.
But weekly? Weekly, that's pretty frequent. That brings it down to the execution level, not the planning level, really. I mean, that really is sensing and responding in a very quick way.
And like I said, it includes the president of our business unit and all the senior executives.
Yeah. So what's next for Trinity? What's on the agenda for further improving your supply chain and your ability indeed to sense and respond?
Yeah, so now it's more on the response side, but the next frontier for us is including the extended supply chain in this response. So we're working on supplier collaboration technology to improve. We've been good at cross-functionally working within our groups within our business at Trinity. We're now embarking right now to include our suppliers, our key suppliers, in that and increase their flexibility, but also just increase the sharing information, the speed at which it's shared, as well as visibility to exceptions, and really getting better at managing exceptions further out in the supply chain.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how you guys do in the future. We'll be following with great interest. Mike, I want to thank you very much for being with us to tell us a little bit about Trinity Rail. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
I've been speaking with Mike Hegedus of Trinity Rail. Thank you very much for watching.